Very good hello to you and welcome to this brand new edition of the YOU ORNS post-match Watford Football Club. Thank you very much, Watford fans, for joining us here on both YouTube and on X. Hit the request button, please, if you are on X at this moment, or if you'd like to leave some comments, you're more than welcome to do that as well. After Leeds 2, Watford 1 was the final score tonight from Elland Road. Watford, listen, I did not watch the first half, just couldn't get to it. On the way home, technical issues with the feed, couldn't get it, but second half I did watch. And from what Watford fans have told me in that first half, two mistakes from Daniel Backman. I want to hear from you, though, fellow Watford supporters, on this brand new edition. Hit the request button. Caden has already done so. If you want to follow Caden's lead on X, please hit that request button. We'd love to have your comments. Caden is going to be first here on this brand new edition of the YOU ORNS Watford post-match, which you can watch live on YouTube as well. Caden, hello to you. Waiting for you. Hello there, Caden.
Good evening. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah. If Daniel Backman didn't make them two horrid mistakes, we would have won that game. I'm a lot happier with that performance than I was at Luton. Yes, it was still a loss, but to be fair to ourselves, we did perform to a certain extent. And if Backman didn't make the two mistakes, we would have won the game. I think that there were some really good performances out there tonight. And I just want to mention one of them specifically. Yasser Larouci. What a shift from him tonight. Played really, really well. Obviously, probably shouldn't have come off, but then again, he was like, fucked. So, we live on. But it fills me with a lot more hope going into Blackburn than it did me feeling hope coming into Leeds after the back of that 3-0 Luton defeat. I thought that we were so much better after the mistakes from Backman. None of them really the team's fault, apart from Daniel Backman, who you might have just heard there, I have segregated completely from the team. He should not be in that starting 11. I would have Jonathan Bond. I thought I said Doumbia to start the game. I thought Doumbia couldn't really do much when he came on, but we live on, and we look forward to Blackburn, but certainly an improvement from Luton. I think people saying Cleverley to be sacked is a bit ludicrous. Yes, it is awful that he persistently wants to start Daniel Backman, but he definitely said something at half-time to get him back up motivated. And I keep repeating myself, but we would have won that game if Backman didn't play this evening.
Yeah, you may well be right. I think that's very true. Listen, I didn't see the first half, to be fair, but I think, Caden, this team has some fighting spirit second half, and they certainly played well enough to have won this contest. And so definitely understand what you're saying about that.
There was only one or two players tonight where you go, oh yeah, it's same old rubbish. One of them was Edo Kayembe. I didn't think he was that great. And Mr. Sissoko grew into the game, but still it wasn't Sissoko's best performance out there today. But overall, not too shamed about the result, because it was a decent enough performance. But apart from that, I don't know what else there is to say.
Well, you said it all, Caden. Thanks very much. Good to hear from you, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. Thank you very much indeed. Caden there with his comments on tonight's game. And he talked about Kayembe being a little bit off of it, perhaps, and maybe Sissoko growing into the game. Well, I can only speak for the second half. I mean, Caden saw the whole game. I only saw half of it. The second half, I thought Kayembe looked pretty decent, looked pretty good to me. And Sissoko definitely looks better than he did Saturday. That's, considering everybody played poorly on Saturday, I don't know what that is to say. But your comments are welcomed here. If you'd like to follow what Caden has just said, please hit the request button here on X after Leeds, the other L team, Leeds 2, Watford 1. A better performance tonight from Watford. We acquitted ourselves better in that game than we had in a long time away from home. I think the last time we played as decently as we did tonight away from home was the game against Manchester City, which was on a Tuesday night several weeks back, and we lost that game by the same 2-1 scoreline. And the thing that stood out to me tonight was also Tom Ince. I think his distribution, or I should say his free kicks, his set pieces are pretty blooming good. Can we have them every week? Because we don't seem to have a consistent set piece taker who is as effective as Tom Ince was tonight, and I would like to see more of that. Tom Ince looked good tonight. I thought he wasn't that bad either. Set pieces were really good. Should have scored one in that second half. Should have been headed in by someone as well. Meslier made a great save to prevent it from going to 2-2. I thought Ince was good tonight. Look, he was good the last time Watford played away from home. He was good as well, that Manchester City game where he scored the only goal for us. But your comments are more than welcome on YouTube. Thank you, Matt, for chiming in there. And Matt says, I want to know what the hell Bachmann was doing with that first goal. Plus, his distribution was shocking like always. He's clearly not 100% after his injury, needs to be on the bench next game. That is from Matt. Matt, thank you very much for your comments on YouTube. Listen, I think Bachmann, he made some big saves in that second half, and Caden suggested someone must have gone into him, must have been Clevs who got into him. Look, I think the reason why Cleverley is playing him is because he feels a sense of loyalty to someone who Watford gave, 6-year contract to? I mean, I think that's the reason why Clevs is playing him. And he clearly was injured on Saturday, and he was better tonight. Obviously not the first half, because you've all told me that he had 2 shockers. So he can't have been that great tonight, especially in the first half. I didn't see the first half, so I don't have it. I've got an information deficit, but for all of you who've seen that, as fellow Watford supporters, apparently 2 clangers from Bachmann. And second half, which I did see, Bachmann looked very good. I thought he made some big saves to keep the score at 2-1. But Tom Cleverley has a problem here. He has a goalkeeper in Daniel Bachmann who is not a very good distributor, as Matt said on YouTube just now. And he has a goalkeeper in in Bachmann, who has a 5 or 6 year deal here and has some disciplinary issues. And I think Clevs, out of a sense of loyalty, probably thinks that he has to play Bachmann to justify this deal. But I think from a lot of Watford fans, as far as we are concerned, the problem here is that when you've got Jonathan Bond as your backup, and Jonathan Bond has been outperforming Dan Bachmann, I think it's pretty easy with the mathematics to see who it is you're going to be playing. But everybody seems to say this and seems to see this, but Tom Cleverley. And I'm not having a go at Clevs. I mean, nobody's perfect in the world, right? But Tom Cleverley has got to see, and he's got to know in his heart of hearts, that Johnny Bond is the answer right now. He's the answer right now. I don't think you can say any otherwise. Jonathan Bond has put in some good, credible performances from a Watford point of view. I don't think anybody who follows this club on a regular basis would deny that. He has been a better goalkeeper overall this season than Danny Bachmann has. He's a better distributor. He's a better kicker. He has a better command of his box. There was a moment there where I think Kabasele or someone else was having a go at Bachmann because the ball was in the air late in that second half forever, and you didn't see Daniel Bachmann come out of his area and claim it. And so then the defender had to do some extra mop-up, and then he had to force a corner out of it. And Bachmann should have come out of his box and actually jump for the ball. If it's in the air that long, Danny, you've got to be aggressive as a goalkeeper. But I'm sorry, he's not that. He's a good shot stopper, but he doesn't have all those other elements of his game as a goalkeeper that justifies him starting ahead of Johnny Bond. It's 2 seasons in a row now that we've had this. With Ben Hamer last season, the same thing. Ben Hamer was much the better goalkeeper for much of the season. But again, out of a sense of loyalty, when Tom Cleverley came into the club to take over, what did he do? Put Backman right back in the game. And look, that's the thing. Daniel Backman is not the best goalkeeper on this side. And there's a problem for Tom Cleverley to deal with. 6 changes tonight. And thank you very much, Ted Garron, who has come in on YouTube. And he says, Omar, great speaker, top commentator from Leeds fan. Thank you, Ted, for your kind comments. I know that you, as a Leeds fan, Ted, are very happy tonight, but thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Ted, for that. But the point here is this. There's a big problem, Tom Cleverley, now with the goalkeeper. You know, he made 6 changes tonight as well, which for me, I did not like the fact that those 6 changes were made, but obviously it seemed to help them because they performed a whole lot better than they did against Luton Town. And so maybe those 6 changes were a world of good for us tonight. Now, I think the last time we made 6 changes, it was against Preston, and you know what happened there? It was absolutely abominable. Maybe it was, I mean, it could have been at Preston, or maybe it was the game against Middlesbrough that we came back to win. So whichever it was, I guess it might have worked there if it was the Middlesbrough game. The 6 changes certainly worked tonight. I think our best opportunity was in that second half, right after Baah scored. And for once, we scored early in the second half. You know, we never get the rub of the green scoring first in the second halves of football. But tonight, we finally got one early in the second half, is what I mean, because they did score first in the second half against City in that cup game. Of course, it was the only goal that we scored. But the point is that we normally don't score that early in the second half of these contests, and we finally did tonight. And I thought that that was going to set us on our way to get back into the game. I think Leeds, they gave us way too much space in that second half for much of that second half. And then Farke made the subs. Daniel Farke making them subs was the big turning point of this contest in the second half for me, as Daniel Farke saw that his team had no energy. They were loafing it. There was so much space for us, and we punished them with Kwadwo Baah. And then the subs were made by the Leeds manager, Daniel Farke, and that was the difference. Watford never really got back to where they were prior to that. But can we start Kwadwo Baah every week now? Kwadwo Baah, who is not a striker by trade, is by far the best option in a striking role that we have. It's not close. There's no daylight. It's obvious to everyone who has a pair of eyes that Kwadwo Baah is your starter for this Watford side. Forget Bio, forget Jefferson, forget the lot. It's Mr. Kwadwo Baah who's got to be starting these games on a weekly basis. Look, I thought that he was better off the bench, and I still think he is better off the bench, but tonight he showed you that he has got the kind of courage and the kind of fearlessness that our strikers lack. Baah does it all for you. If you want one-stop shopping, if you are a Watford fan that likes one-stop shopping, and I am a Watford fan who likes one-stop shopping, get it all done in one go. Bang, right? If you're a Watford fan that likes one-stop shopping, you will love Kwadwo Baah. Even if you aren't a one-stop shopper and you are a Watford fan, you will love Kwadwo Baah. The man does it all. He holds up play, he holds the ball well. He's really good for tackling. He can absolutely reclaim the ball. He hunts for the ball, gets it back when he loses it. He also is good dribbling with the ball. He's got a good eye for goal. He's always looking forward thinking. He's always got his head up looking for the goal. He looks for the pass. He gets in the box. I mean, what more do you want from him? He will jump in with it. He will attack the ball. I don't know what. I mean, my goodness me. He does everything that our strikers don't do. He don't do that. I mean, look, listen, Bio we know works very hard, but he don't score any goals, does he? 1 goal this season for him. And Kwadwo Baah has 2 championship goals to his name. One of them, I forget when the last one was. Could have been against Middlesbrough. I forget when it was. And then the one tonight, which was sensational. Great run down the right side, kind of reminiscent of the goal that got disallowed against City. If you remember that from several Tuesdays back in the Carabao Cup, made a sensational run down the right side. Supposedly he fouled the City player, which he never did, and scored, but that got disallowed. Tonight, similar kind of run, really good stuff, run down the right-hand side, cut inside, and then just weave the ball in off of a rebound, and really good stuff from Baah. Here's what Matt on YouTube has to say about Baah. Baah, for me, was outstanding. He held the ball up and was running at Leeds, which is something we've not had since Deeney. For me, Baah gets man of the match for me. Yes, Matt, listen, I echo your comments and your sentiments. He was really, really good. He is outstanding. By far the best player on the pitch tonight. For me, I don't think there's any question. Daniel, Kwadwo Baah has got to start these games. I think the only concern that some of us as Watford fans will have is how long will he stay at Watford for? I mean, it's like a curse, isn't it? He plays so well. You know, there's scouts at the grounds everywhere Watford go. There's scouts everywhere, right? Scouts all over the world. And then they get wind of this man, and sooner or later, someone will come in for him, Matt, and it will be pretty darn clear that he's going to be off to wherever parts unknown beckon him to, especially if it's the Premier League or somewhere like that. You don't think that this young man would you think that young man would turn down an opportunity to be in a Premier League with a solid club? You know, we all know what the answer to that question is. But for now, Kwadwo Baah is absolutely a superstar on this side. In fact, for me, if I may be getting ahead of myself, but maybe I'm not, I think he's eclipsed the likes of Georgie. I mean, Georgie's dynamic, but Georgie, to me, has run out of steam lately. He had a halfway decent game tonight. But I think with Georgie now, I think the thing for me with Georgie is that he just doesn't have that final end product. I think he's been lacking that the last few weeks, as a matter of fact. I think his international stuff is brilliant. When you see him on the international stage, he's pretty blooming good as well. But I think lately on club level, he seems to have absolutely fizzled out a bit now. I don't know what it is. I don't want to slate him because he wasn't bad tonight, but he wasn't the way that we've seen players like Baah with some real electricity in him. I thought Festi Ebiseli was good tonight. You know, I thought that he had some bite to him tonight. You know, really good. I know he had to take him off. But I love what I saw from him. I was not a fan tonight of James Morris. I have no idea why he would pass the ball sideways. He's done this before. He had a situation there, second half, where there's a player away for us, with a player away, down the pitch, away. Big space, and what does Morris do? He passes it sideways. Very, very frustrating. On the road, you have to go all guns blazing. You don't get very many chances away from home, and especially at Elland Road, when they were giving us all that space early in that second half. And to see the fact that James Morris passed that ball sideways, James, what are you doing there in that particular situation? You have to look up and see there's a man way up there by himself. He's onside as well, by the way, and you chose to pass it sideways. I have no idea why. And Mark Brisbane has no idea why Backman is still playing. I'm going to read out what Mark Brisbane has to say here on YouTube watching us. Thank you very much, YouTube followers and watchers. Please like and subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel. Thank you very much for those who've done that. For those of you who haven't, please do so and like this video as well. Mark Brisbane says the following on YouTube: why play Backman when he's still injured? Bond has done nothing wrong. Yeah, that is about as succinct as it gets, Mark. I have no idea why. Before you made that comment, I was talking about this here on YouTube and on X as to why I think Clevs is still playing Backman. I am thinking, Mark, and I don't know what you think about this, or anyone else who's still listening and watching thinks about this. I think it's a sense of loyalty to Backman out of this big contract he's got. You know, this 5 or 6 year deal that was signed a year or two back. And some of us were really shaking our heads about that with Backman, because there's a lot to his game that needs to improve if we're being really fair and honest about it. And so it is absolutely mystifying, Mark. I'm with you. It's mystifying as to why Clevs continues to play him. The only two reasons I think that's happening is, one, what I just said about this sense of loyalty to the contract, and two, maybe there's some kind of thing behind the scenes with him and Bondy. I don't know, because like you said, Bond has done nothing wrong. He's not hurt. He's obviously healthy. unless there was some kind of discipline issue, I have no idea. I do not know why you'd put Bondi on the shelf when Bondi is obviously physically in better shape, is not injured, and Backman is not nearly as in good shape right now as Bond is. And Bond's put in some good performances. I have no idea why, Mark. Search me. I have no idea why. Michael Hobson, who is listening on X, had written a number of comments earlier during the course of the evening while this game was going on. I'm going to just read a couple of them for those of you who are watching on YouTube. And I just want to read out some of these before we move forward here. And I just think that this is quite interesting. Some of the things that were said here as far as that goes with the comments that Michael Hobson made. And here are some of them. Now, here's what Matt had to say. Michael Hobson. Michael had to say this. And I just really, and I actually echoed this myself earlier. TC, Cleves, has backed himself into a corner with his stances on Backman, Sissoko, and Rajovic with the Jebison situation. We have a keeper who can't play out from the back. But TC wants to play that way. He's banished Rajovic, who's scoring roughly 1 in every 3. And then he says, according to Duxbury, Cleves went all out for Jebison, hasn't backed him at all since he's come in, despite our other striking options failing. Sissoko, our captain, and we are showing the same kinds of traits that under his captaincy that got us relegated a few years ago. Unfortunately for TC, these decisions may cost him his job on our current trajectory. Well, look, I think that Sissoko, even during the year that we went down, I thought Sissoko was still a really good warrior for us. There may have been certain things that he didn't get right, but I always thought that the man had a real commitment to the game. He really cared about the game, and I thought he was good most of the time. But we disagree there. But as for the rest of what you've said, it's not beyond the realm. I don't want to see Cleves go, and I don't think that he's going to be sacked off the back of any of these games. Obviously, we've got an owner, as I said to Michael earlier in my response to him, an owner that, you never know. It's a results-oriented business, and we've seen this a million times before. But I think right now, anybody, and I know Michael is not calling for this, but anybody who is calling, and Caden said this earlier on X, anybody who is calling at the moment for Tom Cleverley to be sacked doesn't know what they're talking about. They just do not know what they're talking about, because Tom Cleverley has got a tune out of these players this season. And even though the away form has been really horrendous, you saw a lot better from Watford tonight, much improved on the road, coming off of a game just 72 hours before. They absolutely got battered and hatted into submission. And then they ended up tonight playing a very good game. I thought they played very competently tonight. I think Watford grew up tonight. I think Watford matured tonight. I think the only lament that I have is that Watford didn't make more of the opportunities that Leeds were opening up space for us, that they were opening up a yard sale, and we did not step into that breach nearly enough after the goal we got early in that second half. That was such a promising opening to that second half, and I thought the lads could have made more of it. And I think that's probably the only lament that you have coming off of this game, which is a defeat. It's the 5th defeat of the season. That's 2 consecutive defeats now for us. I think that might be the first time this season that we've had 2 consecutive championship defeats, although maybe not. I have to go look back, but I can't think of any. Perhaps it might have been the Norwich game after the Sheffield United game. I thought we might have had that game come after the international break, or maybe not. But whatever it was, we may have lost 2 in a row before in terms of the league play. But look, the bottom line here are 3 things you take out this game. And I'm going to end things on X before going to the Instagram feed next. One of the bottom line is you take away 2 or 3 things. 1, Watford much improved today. 3, Kwadwo Baah has got to start every one of these games. And 4, Jonathan Bond has got to get back in goal. As good as Backman was in the second half, and he was good, he made some good saves, can't deny that. The first half, as people have said tonight, was the undoing of this team. Daniel Backman apparently made 2 big mistakes early in that half. And again, if I had seen these goals, and I need to see them back in the replay, but I didn't get to see the first half. but from all the Watford fans that have been in contact with me tonight, they have told me that these were absolute clangers from Bachmann. And I'm sorry, you can't have that. And I think the manager's got to look in the mirror at this, because we've all said all along, why in the devil is Bachmann even back in the side when you've got Jonathan Bond, who's earned the right to start these contests? I do not understand it for the Watford supporters. You and I are sitting here tonight scratching our heads at why Klebs continues to play this man, in spite of the fact that you've got Jonathan Bond, who's had really good performances, really establishing himself, looks good, looks sharp, looks like he's got something to prove. You know, he come from Las Vegas. He played for the Las Vegas team, or the LA team, in the MLS out here in the United States. And he's got a new lease of life now. He's got a new lease on life, Johnny Bond. He's been at the club before. And he's a veteran footballer. He's a veteran goalkeeper. Put him back in the starting lineup, man. Again, there can't be anything wrong with him. Otherwise, there's some kind of internal issue that we aren't aware of, or it's just plain stubbornness from the manager, or he feels a sense of loyalty, and Klebs is a very loyal kind of person. He might feel a sense of loyalty to fulfill a 5-year contract that, for me, fellow Watford supporters, just hasn't worked. I mean, it's way too much. The ownership made a big mistake, in my view. I'm not being harsh. I'm being very fair and very honest. The Daniel Bachmann has not prospered so far with this 5-year, 6-year deal. He's not prospered. And I don't know that he's handled it pretty well. He's been injured. I understand that. Injuries happen. But discipline's a big problem. Big problem. He's not the captain. He's lost that responsibility. That's gone to Sissoko. And I think Sissoko still should be the captain, despite some objections. But the bottom line is that we need to have Johnny Bond back in goal. I mean, as Caden said earlier, had those mistakes not been made first half, Watford probably go on and win the game. And we'll never know how the rest of the game turns out. But it's unbelievable. I don't know what to say. It's very mystifying. Mark's point earlier on YouTube about this, very mystifying as to why in the living hell is the manager of Watford Football Club continuing to play this situation with Daniel Bachmann. Now, I'm going to read out some comments on YouTube before I do say goodbye to those of you listening on X at the moment. And I do thank you for doing that. But here are the comments to read out before I say adieu to those on X, and then continue on with YouTube and Instagram at YOU ORNS WFC on both Instagram and, of course, on YouTube. Here's what Mark has to say. Mark Townsend this time on YouTube says, yet again, early goals conceded and gave ourselves a mountain to climb, says Mark Townsend. And he continues, something needs to change quickly or there's going to be a big problem. Home form can't be relied on entirely. You know, I have to say, Mark Townsend, you get the YOU ORNS comment of the night. I think that that's the one. In random, I pick up random comments, and randomly I select the YOU ORNS comment of the night. And so far, has to go to Mark Townsend. I think it's a good description of the game. Look, I didn't see the first half, but I think Mark Townsend on YouTube sums it up very well. I think he gets the balance right in his analysis there. You give up them 2 early goals, 2 goals in the first 7 minutes of a game. I mean, I thought we'd have been over this nonsense about conceding in the first 5 minutes of a contest. And not only are we not over it, now we concede the 2 goals in 7 minutes. And I think Mark Townsend has it absolutely right. Mark, thank you for your comments. And you said, absolutely, something needs to change quickly. I agree with that. There needs to be a change there, not with the manager. And I don't think that's where Mark Townsend is going. I think I will just speak for myself, not for Mark, but I will say from my perspective, there does need to be a quicker change here. There absolutely needs to be a change in terms of the way the personnel is being played. I do not like this thing with Bachmann coming back in and he's not 100%. I'm sorry. Yes, he made some good saves second half, and I got to see the second half of this game, but he is not 100% fit. I don't think he is. And Jonathan Bond had a good rhythm. I don't know why you take that goalkeeper out of his rhythm, of his performances, sit him down on the bench to bring in somebody who'd been out for weeks, had just come back into a derby, which he had no business coming back into, and clearly ain't 100%. And I know he looked better tonight than he did Saturday, but I just cannot for the life of me, understand why this manager insists on playing a man who is not 100% and is not as good a goalkeeper, let's be honest, as Jonathan Bond. I don't know where you go from there, fellow Watford supporters. I'm going to read out more of your comments, but I'm going to say goodbye there to all those who've been listening on X. Thank you very much for your contributions and for listening. Really appreciate that from you. See you again, of course, this coming Saturday when we take on the likes of Blackburn Rovers, the early afternoon kickoff at 12:30. So for those of you on X, take care of yourselves. Thank you very much indeed for listening. And until Saturday, for those of you on X, you ORNS. Take care on X and see you on Saturday. Thank you. You're continuing with us here on YouTube. You ORNS WFC is the handle. Please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And of course, please like the video. We will continue on for another 15 minutes here on You ORNS post-match. And of course, it came Watford falling to defeat for a second consecutive time in the last 72 hours. But there is some silver lining, I suppose, in this game. We played a whole lot better. Now, that is something that you can at least hang your hat on for now, as Watford have improved the way they play. Now, that is encouraging. You want to see some forward activity, and you do want to see a better Watford performance. And I think tonight we finally got to see that from the lads after what was an awful showing the other day. But I'm now also going to join on Instagram live as well. I'll continue to read out your comments. And we are live now on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you so very much indeed, fellow Watford supporters, taking your comments and your viewpoints after Leeds 2, Watford 1. That is the final score tonight from Elland Road. We'll be here for another 15 minutes or so. I know it's after 10 o'clock p.m. in the United Kingdom and around the world here on You ORNS post-match. Yours truly, Omar, here, saying hello and having your comments as fellow Watford supporters as we join here live on Instagram as well. Hello to Jack Majellies in the United States, in Instagram land. I really appreciate you. Always, every week, you are a loyal follower and listener and watcher on YouTube and, of course, on Instagram as well. I do thank everybody watching and listening and commenting. I'll be reading your comments on YouTube in a moment. And, of course, as well as those on Instagram that are coming in. Hello, David Lambert. Hello, Lewis Honeysett. Both of you coming in as well on Instagram and having your comments. Lewis says, well. Yeah, I don't know. Lewis, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we played better tonight, Lewis, but not good enough ultimately in the end. Those are my thoughts on the game because Lewis is asking me on Instagram my thoughts on this contest. Lewis, I'll give you my thoughts straight up here. We played better tonight. To be fair, I did not see the first half. I was making my way back home, actually. And also, there's some technical issues with the iFollow stream online. So unfortunately, I could not get to see the first half. So I missed the whole bloom in the first half, Lewis, unfortunately for that, but did get to see the entire second half. And what I saw, Lewis, was a more committed Watford Football Club. Hello there, Park to Prem. Nice to see you. Harrison Allardyce, nice to see you as well. Good to have you aboard here on You ORNS post-match here on both Instagram and here on YouTube as well. Hit the like button on Instagram and on YouTube, or at least certainly on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed, fellow Watford supporters. Please keep your comments coming. And I'm here on both Instagram and on YouTube. I'm going to read out some of your YouTube comments as well. Thank you so much for that here on You ORNS post-match after Luton. I keep saying Luton, for God's sakes. That game is still in my system. That's what's really happening. But it was not still in Watford's system, thankfully, because tonight Watford played a whole lot better. Your players of the game, your player of the game tonight for Watford in defeat, Kwadwo Baah. I thought Lewis Baah was excellent. Baah is the striker that we don't have, right? Kwadwo Baah is a really good striker, and he doesn't even play striker by trade, but he has much more commitment, much more purpose to him in that area of the pitch and around that area as a forward than any other striker that we have. And again, Kwadwo Baah is not a striker by trade, but he ticks all the boxes. I don't know how any Watford fan could have any disagreement with starting Baah on Saturday. Cleverly has got to do that now. Cleverly turns around and puts Jefferson in to start the game on Saturday, I am not going to be happy. If he puts Baah in, a player that I'm a big fan of, I will not be happy either, because it's obviously Kwadwo Baah who scored the only goal for Watford tonight. Has a lot of life and energy to the man. He goes for every ball. He's got a lot of guts to him. He is a real good. He's got great pedigree, really good, wise on the ball. He's sensible on the ball. He is always a real attacking threat. He is fearless. He's got the attributes that the Championship absolutely loves. Players that go full metal jacket, full to the wall, 110%. That's what the Championship loves, and that's what we love to see in English football. Players that got real pedigree and commitment and fearlessness, and that's what Kwadwo Baah brings you. Brings you a lot of heart and soul too, and a lot of intelligence as well. His IQ in the football is really, really good. Love the way what he does. I'm very impressed with Kwadwo Baah. Now, I'm going to read out your comments now on both Instagram and on YouTube. Harrison Allardyce on Instagram. Oh, my Christ, Harrison says. Oh, my Christ, Daniel Backman. What good things can he actually do other than basic shot stopping? Not a leader, not committed, can't distribute whatsoever. Ben Hamer is 10 times better. Harrison, you listen. Before you came on the air here, Harrison, I said the same thing. The man is not justifying that 5-year deal that he signed. I'm sorry, 5 or 6 years, whatever it was, he is not good enough to be on this team. Let's have it absolutely right. And I think you've echoed that, Harrison. Thank you very much for your comments. Daniel Batman tonight, who I did again. And Harrison, I missed the first half. And every Watford fan around's been telling me he had 2 horrible clangers. I'm going to read out some more comments on Backman on YouTube coming up in a moment, so stick around for that. But Daniel Backman, for me at least, I'm only speaking for myself. He's not the answer. I've just got to be honest about that. I call it like I see it. And I think that Daniel Backman needs to sit down and watch Jonathan Bond in action. He might learn a little bit more from him. And I know that sounds harsh, but I'm just being very honest here. Jonathan Bond has shown you that he is the better of the 2 goalkeepers at the minute. And listen, Daniel Backman's goalkeeping is pretty close to one-dimensional. He's a blooming good shot stopper, but after that, you would have to strain to find out where else he is good for us. Harrison, I'm with you. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that. You're free to. I am going to read out your comments on YouTube as well. Has Haribo, who apparently is a Leeds fan. So you've got some Leeds fans coming in here. Has, thank you for your comment. And Has says the following on YouTube. Has Haribo, you had us worried for a bit then, says Has. Your goal stopped us going top. Well, I mean, if we can contribute to that as a Watford Football Club, then of course, then we'll take that. But obviously, Leeds, look, your team is a very good team this season. I thought you had flashbacks, Has, to a few weeks ago when your lot were at Sunderland and you should have won that game. You know, if you don't win the Championship this year, you might want to look back to that Sunderland game. And I know I probably reminded you of a game you wish you had forgotten, because Sunderland were literally 10 seconds away from losing that match to Leeds at their home place. It was Sunderland 1, Leeds 2. And literally there were 10 seconds left in that game, Has. You remember this as a Leeds fan. And I don't know what Meslier did that game. It probably was a whole lot worse than what even Daniel Backman did tonight. And that ball went right between his legs or past his grasp or whatever it was. I watched the game, Has. And that was a Friday night game. That was a disgrace. But look, Has, thank you for the comment. You'll enjoy your 3 points tonight. Listen, I'll enjoy the Watford performance, even if we didn't win against your lot. But we certainly played very well, enough in that second half particularly, and we should have got a point out this game. But our goalkeeper cost us, Has, so there we go about that. Omar, says Matt on YouTube. I'll read out your comments as well on Instagram, so stick with me, please, as we go on here for another few more minutes on You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live and on YouTube as well, You ORNS post-match. Omar, says Matt on YouTube, if I had to describe the first goal, Backman could have tipped it over the bar, but he flapped at the ball like he was trying to take off. Oh my gosh, that's awful, Matt. Wow. Your description is pretty clear. I mean, I still would like to see the goal, and I'm going to end up getting to see it on somewhere online, whether it's Watford. I don't think Watford's social media team is going to do that, but somewhere along the line, maybe they will. I'll watch the highlights on iFollow, because I can watch the whole game back actually on iFollow as well before the podcast that I'm going to be doing, because I will be doing a podcast that should come out sometime tomorrow morning UK time on this game and on the Luton game as well. LLLLL, and you know what that means. Luton, Leeds, loss. I think that's what we can look at with the 3 L's there. Matt, for your comment, thank you indeed. Alan Austin, hello Alan on YouTube. Really, by the way, I appreciate you, Alan, for leaving the comments that you do. Thank you very much for all of that. Always appreciated. Alan says this on YouTube. Bachmann wasn't fit. His leg was bandaged. Said before the game he should have been on the bench. What's Tom thinking of? Yeah, Alan, I don't know. Before you made your comment, I've been saying this all night here, and thank you for making your comment, Alan. I don't know what the dickens has got into Tom Cleverley with this situation. Jonathan Bond's got to start these games. End of story. I don't want to hear anyone else say anything different, because they're talking nonsense. Daniel Bachmann should not be starting these games. Okay? He shouldn't. He made 2 clangers tonight, which I didn't get to see. You did. He should not be starting these games. Cleverley, I don't know if Tom Cleverley ever watches this, or any one of a Watford brass who might stumble upon this. Please, you've got to start Johnny Bond on Saturday against Blackburn. Please, I'm begging you. And I don't beg. I really don't do that. But in this situation, you've got to start Jonathan Bond. There's no way around it. The man has proven himself to be a better goalkeeper than Daniel Bachmann. You've had earlier tonight Harrison saying Ben Hamer's 10 times better. And I agree with you, Harrison. Ben Hamer is a million miles better. I mean, we all saw what Ben Hamer did last season for us. And we knew he wasn't going to be invited back, because we know how it works around here. We know what the situation is. They've got to justify 5 years of absolute calamity. I'm sorry, a 5-year contract. The front office has got to admit that they have not been good enough on that contract with Bachmann. I'm sorry, that's not a good contract. And right now, it's an embarrassing contract. When you consider what's happened tonight, he made some good saves second half, but he cost us the game. Cost us at least a point tonight. Can't have that. Thank you, Joe. I know you can't stay long. Good spells, but early goals. Thank you. Joe Larkin cost us early goals, cost us again. Man of the match, Larucci. He was outstanding. He was unreal today, says Harrison. Thank you indeed for that. More comments. Why is he captain as well? He's an awful leader and just complains all the time. Harrison, you're talking about Daniel Bachmann, but Daniel Bachmann now is no longer captain. It's Sissoko who's captain this season, but I know what you're talking about. He was captain a couple of seasons ago, or last season. So Harrison, I take your point. He is no longer the captain, though. It's Sissoko who's captain. He's an awful leader, just complains all the time. The bad thing is, Harrison continues on Instagram, I don't think Tom has the balls to drop him. I think so, Harrison. You're singing from the same hymn sheet as I am. I said this earlier. I think he feels a lot of loyalty to Danny B, and he thinks that Danny B needs to get the maximum playing time, because he somehow got to justify, in quotes, justify the 5-year deal, the 5 or 6 year, whatever it is, deal that was signed a couple of years ago. And we were all looking at that. And I'm saying to myself and the front office, why don't you lot in the front office give your head a wobble? Give your heads a wobble. What are you doing signing 5 years for? I mean, I'm sorry, that's way too much. And I don't know if the contract's pressurizing him. I don't know, Harrison, but it's just not good enough. All I know is, from a Watford standpoint, it's not good. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. I think any Watford fan who watches these games on a regular basis can see that Daniel Bachmann is not up to it. And it's a shame. I like Daniel Bachmann personally. I think he's a decent person. I'm not attacking him personally at all. I think it's some constructive criticism that he, in terms of his football, is not the goalkeeper, I think, that a lot of Watford fans are the biggest fan of. Now, there are going to be Watford fans who are massively enamored with him and they like him on the pitch. I like him as a person. I've got nothing against him. I think he's a decent stand-up guy. But I'm sorry, when it comes to football, decency is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a goalkeeper who has a bit more attribute around him. He has a bit more attributes other than shot stopping. You've got to have awareness. You've got to have situational awareness. You've got to be keen about what your area is. You've got to command your area. You've got to communicate. You have got to communicate. I talked about this earlier, that you've got Daniel Batman out there in the game midway through the late in the second half. The ball was up in the air for an age. And I think it was whoever the defender was or whoever was tracking back. It could have been Kayembe, who really had a go at, it might have been Doumbia. Somebody had a go at Backman. It's like, why didn't you come for the ball? And I heard one of the commentators, it might have been Jeff Doyle on BBC 3CR, going that Backman was telling him, well, it was too far out. I'm sorry, that's your ball. Come for the ball, man. It was just incredible. And there was no Leeds player around. And then what happened is that one of the defenders had to give a corner away because the ball took forever to come down. And then by that time, you've got Leeds players all over the place. And then you've got to go safety first. But that's a goalkeeping mistake right there. And that's a lack of confidence and a lack of poise by your goalkeeper. Keith Merriweather, thank you very much. And Harrison, I agree. Tom doesn't have the balls to drop him. It's that simple. I think he feels loyalty to him. Look, Tom Cleverley played with Daniel Batman, okay? Let's not forget that. It's not an excuse, but Tom Cleverley was a teammate of Daniel Batman. And I think that that's also maybe could be a factor here, because some people forget that Tom Cleverley was on this side only 2 seasons ago, and Backman was in the goal when it happened. And so, listen, I know that Cleverley had a very shortened season that year because he got injured. That was 2 seasons ago. Remember that against Burnley, he scored the goal in that game, but then he got injured off of it, I think. If I remember that correctly, that was the 1-0 game against Burnley where we were down to 10 men. This was 2 seasons ago. At least my brain, I've got that good a memory to remember that. And look, Backman was in goal. Backman was in goal that night. So I think there's another thing going on there, Harrison. He probably feels loyal to a former teammate. You know, is that the peril of a former player becoming manager of the team that he used to be a player on? You can judge that for what you wish to, but for me, there is a real problem in having Bond on the bench here when you're absolutely really putting yourself in a very difficult spot, as people like Mark Townsend on YouTube said earlier. Why are we playing this way? Why are we putting out why is Tom Cleverley putting Daniel Backman in goal? Until Daniel Backman shows that he can have a bit more dimension to his goalkeeping, you've got to keep Jonathan Bond in the game. And until Jonathan Bond, and knock on wood, this never happens to him. If he gets injured, that's another story. But Jonathan Bond has earned the right to start these games. I'm like a broken record here tonight because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Jonathan Bond has earned the right to start these games. Simple as. I'm going to read the rest of your comments out. Backman, okay, I read yours, Alan. Thank you, Alan, for your comment. Mark Townsend again here on YouTube. Listen to the commentary tonight and sounded like Tom Ince's set pieces were decent. He should start again on Saturday. Mark Townsend, I agree. I watched the second half, and Tom Ince has nailed on with them set pieces. He has got to start. That's another good point from the comment of the night, which I've already revealed. I should have probably waited until I read your Instagram comments. But the You ORNS comment of the night comes from Mark Townsend. I read that out earlier. But this new comment from Mark, I totally agree. Tom Ince was excellent with the set pieces tonight. If he does nothing else, let him take the set pieces all night long. I do not care. He should have scored off of one of them set pieces. So for me, it is Tom Ince to start these games. Now, we'll see how Cleverley plays it off of a back-to-back, because you've got a game, of course, coming Saturday afternoon early. Is he going to start Ince? I don't know. Ince is a bit up there now, so-called up there in age, as it were. Is he going to do that with Ince? Maybe he rests him. I mean, he's got to look at that video back tonight. I mean, this is a man, Tom Cleverley, who saw the Leeds game who saw the Luton game 3 more times. I mean, Tom Cleverley, after that game was over Saturday, he saw the Luton game 3 more times from start to finish, 100 minutes. He saw 300 minutes of the same exact thing. So that man is going to watch this game over. He's so strict in his preparation, which is good. And he's very, very serious about it and very clinical and forensic about it. If he watches this game again, and he will tonight, he's got to see that Ince has got to start. He's got to start Baah. He's got to start Ince. End of story, case closed. I agree. Thank you, Mark Townsend, for your comment on YouTube. Michael Hobson, who was with us on X, joins us on YouTube. Thank you, Michael Hobson. Michael, thanks for your comment, which I'm about to read right now on YouTube. TC subs did not influence the game in the second half. We didn't get another shot on target since Baah scored in the 47th minute. What must Jefferson think when Pollock is playing up front? Yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, I didn't even talk about that. Pollock was brilliant tonight, by the way. And yeah, you noticed how he got further forward, Michael. He got much more forward in the game. In fact, there was a moment where he headed the ball and he wanted players to chase it up front, and nobody was chasing the ball. Nobody was running up with him. Nobody was going for the ball. They stood there, watched the ball go out of play, and he had to turn around. He was screaming, Matty Pollock, screaming at the rest of these players. Where are you? Come on. I mean, that is a man, exactly, who's taken charge of the game, and that's what you have to do away from home, especially at Elland Road, where you ain't getting much chances to begin with. And for the likes of Matty Pollock, the likes of Kwadwo Baah, who both were probably half decent on Saturday, was before the overall game. Tonight they both shined again, and really, Pollock. That's a good point there. Pollock, exactly. Jefferson's probably shaking his head, Michael. Really, I don't know what's going on. I hate to say this. I not hate to say this. I kind of feel sorry for Daniel Jefferson. And look, I don't think he's had a fair amount of time to show what he can do. And I know what he's done so far isn't very much. He's not scored any goals. I understand that. But I really want him to be a regular fixture in this team somewhere. Can Tom Cleverley change the formation? I would love for that. Would he ever play two up top to start these games? Clevs perhaps maybe might have done that tonight with a 3-5-2 to start with, because that's what it seemed to be, judging from what the formation map looked like. When I was looking at it, I didn't see the first half, but I saw the formation map that was put out on the BBC, and it looked like a 3-5-2. But I think someone's got to give, and Mark has talked about this before, Mark Townsend. Some changes need to be made here somewhere, because there's potential. We showed it tonight, but we didn't get the job done. No, Niles joined us. Backman needs to be deported, says Niall Gill on Instagram. Remember when Backman was linked with Man United? Harrison, I do. And I can't believe that he ever was. Thank you, Harrison. I know you made the comment a few minutes ago on Instagram, but I'm now getting to your comments. Backman is rattled, says Keith Merriweather. Head's gone. Has previous Norwich's first goal. And where's Jefferson? Yeah, Keith, I agree with you. Keith Merriweather on Instagram saying something that I kind of was thinking about but did not mention, and glad you did, Keith. Where on earth is Daniel Jefferson? Apparently not injured, not on the score, not on the subs bench, not in the starting lineup. Where is he? Is he the forgotten man? Is he on the side of a milk carton? Is he in a... Where is he? Is he in a dungeon somewhere? Cleverly, can you explain where the man is? You were all hot and heavy for him. He come in, and I was looking forward to seeing him play. He's had sporadic influence in these games. He's not put anything really in that we can really give a certain evaluation of. He's probably lacking a bit of confidence. He's not played for a really decent long spell in a game. And now he's nowhere. Is there a discipline problem there? I mean, are there two players now who aren't getting played because there's some issue that we don't know about? I don't think he's injured, is he? I have no idea. But Keith, thanks for the comment about that. Yeah, where is Jefferson? That's a good point. Meerkat for London, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Harry, hello to you. Gary Costa, hello to you. If anybody can tell me where Jefferson is, then we don't have to go and get a search party out looking for him, do we now? But anyway, your comments always welcome here on You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live and here on YouTube as well. YouTube on the post-match, You ORNS post-match on YouTube. Thank you. Continue to subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel and like this video as well. Always good to see you, fellow Watford supporters. Omar here in San Francisco, California, where it is sunny. Lovely and sunny here just after 2:40 in the afternoon. It is almost 11 p.m., by the way, in the United Kingdom. Wherever you are across the world, thank you very much for joining us here on You ORNS post-match. Great to see you aboard. Omar here with you on Instagram as well. Great to have you here. We're reading out your comments for about 5-10 more minutes, and we'll have to close it up here, close up shop here for this edition. But it is great to see you. Of course, we'll be back as well on Saturday with pre and post. Well, I'll try to do the pre if I can get myself out of bed early enough. I think I'll be able to this time around for Watford against Blackburn Rovers. That's coming up Saturday at 12:30 at the Vic. All hands on deck for that. Watford will be trying to stop a 2-game losing streak there. And I'll be with you for post-match here on Instagram, here on YouTube, and on X. Reading out more of your comments here. Harrison says, I liked Ince, to be fair. Did much more than Baah would have done. He ran out of steam toward the end, but he was decent. Thank you for those comments, Harrison Allardyce on YouTube, on the Instagram, about Tom Ince. Tom Ince has been decent. He's had a better season this season for us. He scored some good quality goals. He scored a couple of goals in the, I think 2 or 3 goals in the Carabao Cup. I think 2 in that game against MK Dons, I think it was. And he scored the goal, of course. Did he have a hat-trick in the MK Dons game? I forget. But he had a goal, of course, against City in the other Carabao Cup game that we played this season. So there we go on that. That's a good comment from you, Harrison, as always. Thank you. Seth Lawrence has joined us as well. Sparky Mark has joined us on Insta. So has Tyler Webley. Hello to you, Tyler. Nice to have you aboard. Watford, Serbia. Good to see you. Cheers. Nice to see you all here on Instagram and here on YouTube. We're reading out your comments for the next 5 minutes or so before we have to shut up shop here. Leeds 2, Watford 1 was the result today. I thought there were some silver linings for us. Watford obviously played a whole lot better, streets better, and that's really after a very low bar was set on Saturday against the hated lot up the street, if you will, the M25 or whatever, whatever, I forget, I think it is the M25. But the bottom line is that we stunk up the joint at the doggy kennel, and deserved to be roundly beaten. I've talked about this before. I've got no shame in saying that, as much as it pains me to say. But we thoroughly got what we deserved Saturday. But tonight, to me, is more of a case of what could have been and perhaps what should have been. I think the referee mucked up things tonight. Second half, that referee didn't know where his head was. I think he had to pull it out of his rear end before he began to referee half decently in that second half. But look, that's not the reason why Watford lost this game. Obviously, the first half, when all of you who've seen the first half, except me, saw 2 clangers apparently from Daniel Batman, who was awful. Here we go. Oh gosh, there's so many comments coming in, but I will read the rest of them here as always, as promised. Tyler on Instagram says to us the following. Tyler Webley says this: I just think we need a competent striker in January and we would compete again. Yeah, we do, Tyler. That's the inescapable truth. And Tyler has spoken about that. I think, Tyler, you're 100%. We've got to get a striker in here. I know Baah's been excellent and Baah has to start this game on Saturday, but we need a striker. We need a striker to get these defenses worried. We don't trouble these defenses. We don't trouble them. We don't. And as good as Baah was tonight, where were the rest of these guys really having a go at that Leeds goal? I think we only had, 4 shots on target the entire night? Maybe. I don't think that's good enough for us. Even at Leeds, that's not good enough for us. Tyler, I think you're right. I think there's going to be some pressure whether to cut short the loan if Watford are able to do that for Rajovic. I don't know if that can happen or not. It depends on what the structure of that is. A season-long loan, I understand. But I don't know if they can do something about that to get Rajovic back here. I never thought I'd be saying that about someone who I don't think is good enough. But at least he will give you a different look. But Kwadwo Baah is different gravy. And we know that Kwadwo Baah could be poached at any time. Who knows? He could be gone by January for all we know, Tyler. And then it really sets the cat amongst the pigeons, because then we really got to figure out where our goals are coming from. Because right now, we scored 15 goals the first 3 or 4 matches, Tyler, but we've been a pale shadow of that since. We've not scored nearly enough, and our variety of goal scorers, it's pretty predictable where you're getting these goals from. It's like literally 3 players. You're going to get something from Kayembe every now and again. Kwadwo Baah is going to get you involved and get you a goal. And you're probably going to get something from either TDB or Ryan Andrews. That's where your goals are coming from. And none of them is a recognized striker last time I checked. So, Tyler, you're spot on with that comment. Thank you for it very much indeed. I'm going to read out some on YouTube now. Tom says this: Bond deserves the #1 role. Yep, he does. Tom, you're absolutely right. Thank you for making that comment. So true. Johnny Bond has got to be the #1 goalkeeper. I mean, it's just so obvious to every Watford supporter that I've talked to, fellow Watford supporters. We all agree. I've not heard anyone tell me from a Watford standpoint that Daniel Bachmann should be a #1 goalkeeper. I really haven't. I've yet to see it anywhere. You know, I've yet to see a Watford supporter this season, at least since Bond has come into the mix, tell me or say to anyone that somehow Bachmann deserves to start over Bond. It's just not. I really don't understand. And it kind of, I got to tell you, it does annoy me. I do get annoyed about this. Why is this man continuing to put, I just don't even, I mean, I think it just infuriates. The more I think about it and talk about it, it just infuriates me. It really does. Why are you cutting off your nose to spite your face? Why are you doing that? And Tom Cleverley, I've met him personally. He's a very nice person. Nice fella, lovely fella. He really is a decent person. Really unassuming, earnest, nice guy. He is. All I'm saying is, I just don't get this with Jonathan Bond sitting on the bench. And it does annoy me. I don't want to get too annoyed. I don't want to get carried away about this. But it's beginning. And again, I go back to the comment of the day by Mark Townsend on YouTube. It's really a problem. This has become a problem now. And what are we playing at with this? And every Watford fan in the building can see that that's not the right move. I don't know what needs to be done. And no, I'm not a supporter of sacking Tom Cleverley. I think anybody who's been saying that needs to really look in the mirror at that comment. Because I've heard this from some people. I've heard this going around on social media. I'm sorry. Cleverley being sacked will not stop these issues. It's not going to get our defense to be better. It's not going to get the midfield that was non-existent on Saturday to be better. And as Tyler points out now on Instagram, we start so unbelievably so slowly. Let me read out what Tyler had to say about this on Instagram. As well, we start so unbelievably slowly, Tyler says. Thank you for the comment, Tyler. Really appreciate it. And he continues here. Too many times we concede within the first 10 to 15 minutes. Tyler said it all. We have this really disruptive and not disruptive, but distressing pattern of conceding goals in the first 10 minutes of these games. We had gone a game, maybe 2 games, Tyler, maybe 3, where we didn't do that. We went a whole half without conceding in some of these games, but we've come back to that familiar bad habit. We conceded in the first 11 minutes on Saturday. See, coming right back, reverting to the real problem. Our defense cannot keep a clean sheet for 10 minutes in a game. 11 minutes on Saturday and 4 minutes tonight. It's not going to do. And sacking Clevs ain't going to get that situation solved, okay? The thing that bothers me with Clevs, the only thing, the tactics on Saturday were a big problem. And starting Daniel Bachmann, when clearly everybody can see the man is not 100%, and he ain't as good as Johnny Bond. Johnny Bond, I mean, this is what kills me. Jonathan, as I'm now talking about it, right? Jonathan Bond had played really well in goal. He played well. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm going to stop, mate, because I don't want to rage on about this. But it does just get me. It really does, how this man is continuing. It's stubbornness, honestly. It's absolutely stubborn. Hello there, I am Woody on Instagram. Nice to have you aboard. I'll read out more of your comments. Matt says, this just shows how bad Bachmann was tonight. From the score update app I have, they only rated him a 3.6. That's really bad. Now, I don't know if that's, Matt, can you tell me if that's 3.6 out of 5? Or 3.6 out of 10, because some of these apps and some of these report areas online, they do these out of 5, and some of them do them out of 10, because you obviously, generally speaking, it's out of 10. But some of these things also go out of 5. But frankly, tonight, I would give Backman a 5 out of 10. Because obviously I didn't see the first half. Second half, he was good. Good stops, second half, good saves. But because everybody's been talking about how bad he was with them 2 goals, and I didn't see him, so I really don't have the bandwidth or I have an information deficit. But because the man conceded, I am told, 2 really bad goals, I think you've got to give him a 5 out of 10. Now, Matt has just said that the app he uses is out of 10. So the app that Matt has given Daniel Backman a 3.6 out of 10 tonight. I mean, there you go. I hope Tom Cleverley actually is looking at that. I know he's probably not going to be looking at what other people say about the club and about the team. But if he does glimpse at Matt's app, maybe you'll see 3.6 out of 10 is enough for Jonathan Bond to return to the starting lineup. For God's sakes, I'm pleading with the man. Tom, if you're watching by some miracle chance, please start Daniel Backman. Won't you please? Please start. I'm sorry. Please start Jonathan Bond. I mean, I almost say a prayer. Can you please start Johnny Bond Saturday? It would mean the world to all of us as Watford supporters if he did. I mean, it really would mean the world because Jonathan Bond is not injured. He was on the bench, so he's obviously not hurt, right? And it can't be, and maybe it's not a discipline problem because if it were a discipline problem, he wouldn't be on the bench. So Jonathan Bond has, to me, from what I know, I'm not in the clubhouse, I'm not in the dressing room, no discipline problem that I can think of. It's not been reported. And he's not injured because he's on the bench. And if he's on the bench, he's not injured. Because if he's well enough to be on the bench, he's well enough to play. And if he's well enough to be on a bench and you've got a man injured who's starting, you need to take that man out and put Bond in there. As you can tell, this thing drives me crazy with Jonathan Bond. I'm sorry. It just kills me. Every Watford fan in here can see that Daniel Backman doesn't cut the mustard at this club. And we all see it. Let me just calm down here for a minute. Just read your comments out. I'll promise. I'll go for the top of the hour, okay? We go until 11 o'clock tonight, right? 11 o'clock tonight here. We'll go to 11 o'clock UK time tonight on this one after Leeds beat Watford 2-1. I am Woody on Instagram. We're watching here live on Instagram and on YouTube. Thank you so very much for subscribing. Please continue to subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel. And, of course, follow on Insta at You ORNS WFC as well. You ORNS YouTube channel is at You ORNS WFC. Also, great to see you all here live and in full form on You ORNS post-match here on both YouTube and on Instagram. I am Woody says, Backman still not ready in my opinion. I only watched the highlights, but shot stopping is his only value. Thank you, Woody, for the comment. Really appreciate it, mate. Thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, again, he's one-dimensional, Woody. I mean, you just pointed to it. One-dimensional goalie. We've got a one-dimensional keeper, and I'm sorry, the championship, that you can't, you know, in the championship, Woody, and you know this, you have to be much more, you've got to have a bit of devil in you. You know, you've got to go, you have to have some authority. You know, in some ways, you know, a goalkeeper has to have a bit of swagger about them, you know, by nature. I look at some of these goalkeepers in the Premier League, and I know, not a comparison, but I'm just saying, you got goalkeepers like Emi Martinez, who's possibly the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. The swagger that he brings. I've watched some of them in games with Villa. He brings swagger and confidence. You look at someone like I know he's a cutter, but I mean, I'm not comparing it because we know Emi Martinez. Look, he's a World Cup winner, for God's sakes, right? But Emi Martinez, I'm just talking about the way goalkeepers carry themselves. He's got confidence and swagger to him. And you look at Backman, I'm sorry, he doesn't inspire that confidence. And I don't know if that's why the defense is also having a meltdown these days. But I'm sorry, if you're telling me, Watford fans, that he had 2 clangers tonight, that can't be the defense's problem. That can't be the defense there. That is a goalkeeping error. And I heard, because not only do Watford fans say this, the commentators tonight, Jeff Doyle and our good friend Del Payne, were saying 2 individual errors. He wouldn't even name Backman. I mean, I'm sure we know it was Backman, but he didn't want to mention him by name. 2 individual errors cost us tonight, he said. Well, who was it that cost us tonight? The man that Klez keeps putting in goal. We shipped 3 the other day with him in goal and 2 tonight. Do the maths. Do the maths, for God's sakes. Again, the more I talk about this, the more ticked off I get. Do the maths, Tom. I'm sorry, that's 5 goals now with freaking Backman in there. Put Johnny Bond back in the game, please. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I just, this 5-year, I think why I'm getting so upset about this too, is a 5-year deal. And you put 5 years in him, and the front office is not going to own up to the fact that it's a mistake. And now the front office is getting exposed. I mean, in some ways, the front office is in a corner as well, Michael Hobson. I mean, the front office has been put into a corner here. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to offload him and eat that contract? I mean, he's been a disappointment, Daniel Backman. I'm not saying he's not had some great games. Has he earned us some points in some of these seasons? Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. He certainly has given us 10 points in a season at time. But so far this season, I'm sorry, he's not been good enough. Since coming back from injury, he's not. And before he got injured against Norwich, as was pointed out earlier, he ships another goal. And that goal was 2 minutes into the game against Norwich. And Daniel Backman should have saved that. That was a soft goal. I'm sorry. And the second one was soft too. In fact, nearly all them goals against Norwich were soft. It's just so... Anyway, imagine, says Tyler, on it. I've got to stop talking about this because I just get ticked off at it. Tyler Webley says, imagine we do go up this year and we have Backman in between our sticks. And literally a laughing emoji right on cue from Tyler. Tyler, thank you for that, mate. Yeah, I mean, you never know. It could happen, Tyler. It could happen. We've seen it all as Watford fans, Tyler. You know this. We all know this, mate. We've all seen it. We've seen it all here at Watford. No matter where you are across the world, I've been a supporter from year one in my life, and I'm from the Watford area. I'm from Pinner, which Elton John's hometown, not far away from Watford, 7 miles away. I went to these games as a kid, stood in the Vicarage Road Terrace when there was a Vicarage Road Terrace, But my goodness, Tyler, it could be like that, mate. We could go up and we got Backman in our goal. And then listen, you got to laugh somewhere. I mean, it's not like we got beat 3-0 tonight. Come on. I mean, it's not like we got beat 3. I mean, there were 3 goals to score tonight, but we only let in 2. So 5 goals in the last 72 hours. We'll be all right then, won't we? 4 against Norwich, don't forget that. 3 against Preston, don't forget that. And I know that Daniel Backman wasn't in goal against Preston as far as I remember. Jonathan Bond didn't play that badly in that game. The whole team stunk in that game. So that wasn't even Bond's fault because Bond kept us from getting smashed 6 in that game against Preston. But I'm sorry, it's just really poor in it from Backman. And you're going to get some Watford fans. I don't know if every Watford fan is going to feel this way, obviously, but there's going to be a growing number of Watford fans that are going to start to raise more noise about why Bond is not starting these games. I mean, would Jonathan Bond have given up an early goal like that tonight? Hard to say, but based on what we've seen from Johnny Bond, he's been pretty solid. I don't remember them conceding. In fact, those games when Watford were giving up early goals, when they weren't giving up early goals the last couple of games before the one against Luton, Jonathan Bond was in goal for them games where they actually stopped the bleeding and stopped conceding in the first 5 minutes or so. Jonathan Bond was in goal for them games. Keep that in mind. I'm going to go 5 more minutes, I promise. It's just unbelievable. So many people commenting. Tyler again on Instagram says, I'm praying to God we don't start him or I could cry. Tyler, thanks for the comments again, mate, on Instagram. Thank you very much. We'll go for 5 more minutes here on both Instagram and on YouTube. Got comments from Leeds fans as well coming in here. Here we go. Michael Gott, Leeds fan here, says Michael on YouTube. Game of 2 halves. We were better in the first, but you were better in the second and could have easily taken a point back home. Thank you, Michael, for that. Michael Gott, the Leeds fan, thank you for that. Leeds, you've got to be very pleased there, Michael, with your team tonight, even though I think your team was a bit shaky second half, as you pointed out. You gave us way too much space. I thought you were very lackadaisical in the first 15, 20 minutes, but your manager really made a big call there, made a good move from a Leeds perspective when he brought on them subs to change the trajectory of this game for your team. And as a result, he helped stop the bleeding for Leeds, and they ended up holding on to this game and had a couple of chances themselves. Watford never really got back into redressing the balance of them subs, even though Watford brought some subs on. I thought that was the most important move tonight. Michael Gott, the Leeds fan on YouTube, of the night that Leeds made, was to bring them subs on second half after we'd scored. And the Leeds crowd there, I don't know if you went to the game tonight there, Michael, as a Leeds fan, but your fan base there was really nervy. We had you on the ropes that second half. And when you've got them fans at Elland Road, a very boisterous place, the fans are on top of you, and you got them sitting on pins and needles like that, you've got to take advantage. And Watford just did not do enough to take advantage of the unease in that Leeds contingent, that Leeds crowd. Leeds are a staunch lot. They let you know when you're playing well. They give you a real fight. They're loyal to their players. They're on top of you. Elland Road is a really rough place if you're an away team. But Watford held up well against it, but they just didn't give enough of what was required on the road. After that 47th-minute goal, you've got to get on top of Leeds and stay on top. And Watford had moments, but let me tell you, those subs by Farker were a big help for Leeds, bailed them out this game. Thank you very much, Michael, for your comments. I'm sure you'll enjoy those 3 points tonight. Well done to you. Not well done for Watford, though, because we did not get it done tonight. But a better performance. I think I can take heart as a Watford supporter here that our performance tonight was much more respectable, much more like what we want to see. We should have seen this on Saturday. You know, if we could have seen this kind of fight Saturday, it could have been a different story. We wouldn't have get tonked 3-0, that's for sure. But tonight, at least you can take this into the next game in a couple of 3 days from now, 4 days from now. You've got 4 days now to get back involved and get in this game, learn from these mistakes, learn from the Luton match as well, and you can now get on top with Blackburn. Blackburn's going to be a rough opposition on Saturday, but we can get involved and get up into this game and turn it around, and hopefully we've got Bond back in goal Saturday. Fingers crossed. Let me read out your comments. I am Woody on YouTube, on Instagram. I'll just read these comments out and then we'll have to go. Predictions for Blackburn at home. I pray we start Bart and Bond. He says, those guys have earned their starts. I struggle now to understand how the Watford coaching staff don't see what we are watching, ? From I am Woody on Instagram. I agree with you, I am Woody on Instagram. My predictions, I think Watford are going to get a draw on Saturday against Blackburn. Blackburn are not easy to deal with. We've not beaten Blackburn to the best of my memory at the Vic for a number of seasons now. We had a 1-1 draw, I think, against them last season before we lost to them late in a game. Season before that, I think we got a draw against them. Wesley Hood, I think, got it. So the last 3 seasons in the Vic, we've not beaten this lot. So Blackburn are going to be a tricky situation. I think I am Woody. You asked me for prediction right now, 1-1 on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to make that my pre-match prediction because I did not predict the score tonight before this game. Wisely so. Same thing with Luton. Did not predict them 2 games. My predictions have been very, very good otherwise. And I think it's going to be a 1-1 on Saturday. I am Woody. So that is my prediction. You asked me for it, and I gave it to you. Watford 1, Blackburn 1 on Saturday. I want to thank everybody involved on YouTube. Alan said, gotta go, Omar. See you Saturday. Stay cool. Will do, Alan. Thank you very much, Alan Austin on YouTube. I do hope that you have a very good evening. Great to have you aboard here and everyone watching as well. I'll be reading out the final few comments that you've got here. Michael Hobson says, Ngaki is on a similar length contract as Backman. Also not looking a good extension. Contract pressure, I'm afraid. That's Michael Hobson's thoughts on this on YouTube. And I agree, there's an issue around the contracts. There's an issue, I think, the pressure to perform under big contracts like that. And Ngaki did get an extension. You're absolutely right. I remember that. Look, Kwadwo Baah had a 5-year deal that he signed, or a 4-year deal he signed just a week or 2 ago. Hasn't affected that young man, has it? But Kwadwo Baah has been flying ever since. And even before he signed that contract, a 5-year deal, he has absolutely flown. At least he's justifying his contract. Yeah, Ngaki is a tough situation for him. He's been in and out of injury. He has been an injury situation every season. I think his season last season was much better before he got hurt, but it's been a very, very tough time for Ngakia. But the bottom line is that's where that's going. By the way, an aside, I am not impressed with James Morris. I talked about this earlier before the Instagrams came on. Not a fan of James Morris. I'm sorry. I talked about it before. He had all this acres of space in the game at one moment, and he decided to pass sideways. I don't know why. And that's my other complaint tonight. But not so much a complaint as the Jonathan Bond situation, which, again, don't get me started on that. Oh, dear. Omar says, Matt on YouTube, just to let you know, Watford FC have just put up the highlights on their YouTube channel. Thank you, Matt, for telling me about that. I will definitely look at this situation now with the goal. I do want to thank those of you on Instagram for staying aboard. I'm going to say goodbye on Instagram, but I'm going to extend this on YouTube. I really would love for you to come over to YouTube, hit the subscriber button at YOU ORNS WFC on the YouTube channel, because I'm going to go a little bit longer on this edition of the YOU ORNS post-match on YouTube and on Instagram. But on Instagram, we're going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you for all the comments on Instagram. Thank you there, Tyler, I Am Woody, and everyone else who commented tonight. I Am Woody, take care of yourself, and everyone else on Instagram watching, take care. I am going now exclusively to YouTube for the next few minutes, because I am now going to take a look at these Watford highlights, this goal, or these two goals, and I'm going to issue my comments. So if you are a YouTuber, please hop on over to YOU ORNS WFC on YouTube and subscribe and get on board, because I'm going to be watching as we are here live on YouTube. So until next time on Instagram, take care. And Omar here saying, see you Saturday on Instagram, and be well. So now what I'm going to do for the balance of time, I'm going to read out the rest of your comments. Michael Gott, the Leeds fan, has said, thought Cleverley was going to do a goalkeeping sub at one point. Yeah, I mean, you've got a Leeds fan here telling you that the goalkeeper was substandard. That's a polite way of saying that Daniel Batman did not cut the mustard. That's a Leeds fan talking. Now, if Michael, as a Leeds fan, can see this, why can't Tom Cleverley? And I don't know, Michael, if you went to the game tonight as a Leeds fan, if you went to Elland Road, or if you watched it at home on television or online, but if you can see that as a Leeds fan from where you're watching the game, why can't Tom Cleverley see it? I don't understand it. I really don't. Thank you for your comments again, Michael. Really appreciate that. I don't give a Schmidt says, cheers for the easy 3 points. That's obviously a Leeds fan. Bob was your best player tonight. That too is from I Don't Give a Schmidt. And Schmidt, you're correct. Baah was our best player by streets and valleys tonight, by peaks and valleys. He was brilliant. I think that had we taken more advantage of your lot slacking off and giving us acres of space the first 15 minutes of the second half, it could have been a very different affair tonight. But Leeds held on. And again, as I said earlier, Schmidt, the big key in this game was your manager making them subs. I think them subs really stabilized the game for Leeds, because Leeds were all over the place. They looked very sloppy second half, at least the first 15 minutes of it. Didn't really stick into the game at all. They didn't stick in the game at all. Watford had the possession. They bossed the proceedings. They had you lot run ragged the first 15 minutes. And Daniel Farke saw it. He saw it. He saw what was going on. And that's what a good manager does. He recognizes where the danger is, and he makes a stopgap measure move. And it worked. And it worked. Watford never after that really recovered. And that sometimes can be the difference in the game. Did Tom Cleverley get out coached tonight? I think that's a little bit rough to suggest that. Nobody here is suggesting that so far. I'm kind of rhetorically talking about this. But I think fellow Watford fans, and also to the Leeds fans who might be watching this, either live or later on, I do think that Farke showed you a bit of know-how there. And he showed you why he's still a top manager. You know, this man has got Norwich promoted 1 million times, and he's gone down with them 1 million times as well. Should perhaps have got your lot up last season in the playoffs. It was a rough one for you lot in them playoffs last season. but Farke is still a decent blooming manager, and you should be very glad you've got him, because those subs tonight that he made a big difference. I'm not going to overstate it, but he made a difference with them subs, and we never recovered from that. Thank you again, Michael, for your comments, and spread the word about the YOU ORNS YouTube channel, YOU ORNS WFC YouTube channel. Thank you indeed. Subscribe and follow and all the rest of it, please. Here, we appreciate your comments. And Schmidt, you're right about the Baah being the best player, no question. Easy 3 points. Well, obviously in the first half, which I missed, by the way. Second half I watched. Certainly from the sounds of things, and then the first 7 minutes, it was pretty easy for you lot. Our goalkeeper made it that way for you, Schmidt. But we played well, played decently in the game. Certainly second half, we should have scored one. But the bottom line is you get your 3 points and you enjoy yourself and have a good evening. I'm sure you will enjoy that. 3 points in the midweek for Leeds, as they are very close to the summit in the championship. If not, maybe second place, if not first at the moment for Leeds. Bond says, Matt, Baah and Ince need to start on Saturday, plus Porteous needs to start instead of Morris. Yeah, good point, Matt. Good points all. I think that Morris has got to sit down, okay? I totally agree with you. Morris has got to sit. There's no other way around it. He has got to sit down. I don't know how anyone else can tell me otherwise. James Morris is not doing us any favors tonight. He's just not. I really don't see it. And so, anyway, I just don't see it. By the way, I'm looking around here now for the YouTube for Watford to see where these highlights are, Matt. Certainly, it's not on social media yet. But what I am about to do is take a look and see if they are indeed on display in terms of the highlights on YouTube and the YouTube channel there. But we'll see about that in a few short moments' time. At the moment, though, I am not seeing any of the highlights, Matt. So did they release these on social media? Because on social media, I'm not seeing anything either. So you need to tell me, Matt, where those are, because I do not see them here as far as that is concerned. So I'd like to see where they are. We've got about 2 more minutes to go. I was hoping to be able to watch these in real time and just give you my feedback on what Watford were doing with them 2 goals. But at the moment, nothing that suggests to me, Matt, that Watford have put up any of them highlights that you're talking about. They do not appear to be anywhere at the moment. Let me have a look and see. Yes, they are. Here are the highlights. Thank you, Matt. I stand corrected. I'm looking at them now. This is unbelievable. I'm looking at this now. These are the short highlights. Oh my God! What? Oh my, no way! What is Daniel Backman doing? Oh my God! You've got to be joking! Oh my God, that was awful! Oh my God, Daniel Backman, what are you doing? I've just seen both of these goals. That's way too easy. He was in no man's land for the second goal. And in the first goal, what's going on there? I mean, he had a good shot stop after that, but I'm sorry, that is just not good. Them 2 that he gave up are just, that's appalling. That first goal was particularly bad. Oh my God. How does he not see that in front of him? I'm not going to make an excuse. Is that because, I mean, what is it? The lights? Did he lose it in the lights? There can't be an excuse for that. And then the second goal, he just seemed way out of position. That's a soft touch. I mean, both of those goals are poor. Poor to concede both of those. And that's cost you. That's cost you. I'm sorry. I've now seen both goals. Not good enough from Daniel Backman. That's appalling goalkeeping, that first goal. He is not 100% fit. I don't think he is. Only he knows for sure. But judging from watching the first goal, but especially the second one, where he's basically flat on his back almost. He's on his backside, I should say, and caught in no man's land. And it was an easy goal. I don't think the defense was at fault for either of them. Yeah, Matt, Omar, you see what I mean about him trying to learn how to fly? Yeah, I do, Matt. I do see what you mean there. That is a really bad job by Daniel Backman. That first goal looks even worse than what was described, Matt. As you described it and other people that described, that is a really poor first goal. Wow. I don't have any words for that, do I? I don't. And I'm normally someone who doesn't lack words to find. But Daniel Backman there was awful. That is an awful situation. It's embarrassing, Matt. It's painful to watch this because we see this over and over again. Hey, you know what, Matt? It's not unlike what we saw against Norwich, that first goal. What is he doing flapping around trying to get the ball there? He doesn't hold on to it. He parries it. What is he doing? What is his game plan there as a goalkeeper? And that's what frustrates you, It frustrates you. It's a pattern. Norwich, he did this tonight. And he wasn't any better Saturday. And so it's just, I think the fans have had enough. Some of them have had enough. There'll be other fans that'll be much more patient with him, much more understanding. But why are you going to be understanding with someone who is currently not 100% fit? Why are you going to be patient with someone who should actually be patient on the bench? We cannot afford to throw away any potential momentum we might have in this season with a goalkeeper who is costing us football matches. Now, I wouldn't say so much that Danny Backman cost us the football match on Saturday, because he didn't. He didn't. The whole team was awful Saturday. But tonight, the team was largely very good, improved performance, but them two errors by Daniel Backman sunk us. And yes, to be fair, could we have done a bit more in the second half? Yeah, we could have. But when you dig yourself a hole like that, 2 quick goals in 7 minutes, you leave the rest of the team a mountain in which to climb. And it obviously hurt us tonight. And I think Backman's cost us that game tonight, even though he made some great saves. So I've seen the goals now. Really blundering, real blunder. That first one was really bad. Second one wasn't very much better. All that space, you have to cut down that angle somehow. It didn't happen. It came back off the rebound. And nothing. He was in no man's land, stranded. And Matt, it's a very poor goal. Both of them are. But the first one, really poor. I don't know what he was thinking. I would love to read the comments from Danny Backman afterwards. Listen, I think Daniel Backman's a really good stand-up man. I do. I'm not trying to patronize him at all. I think he's a genuinely decent person and someone who I think is very attuned to life. I think he's a sensitive lad. He's a good person. He really, truly is. When it comes to playing between the sticks, he just needs to continue to develop his game. I think he's excellent at shot stopping. I think he is the best shot stopper that we've got. But if you're not a good distributor of the ball and you don't command your box very well, you need to make a change at the top of the number one. You have to change that shirt to Jonathan Bond. Or if you don't want to put Bond in there, get a goalkeeper in January. I mean, I know that January is always a time where you don't get a whole lot of people to come into your club. If we would be lucky to get a striker, quite frankly, in January, and we'd be lucky to get a goalkeeper. But if that's what we need, that's what we need to get. Because I don't think what we've got now is going to be good enough for us. But Jonathan Bond, though, is miles better at the moment, and you've got to play the hot hand. And I don't believe that's why I'm surprised at Tom Cleverley. And I know he's doing this probably out of loyalty and all the rest of it. He used to be a teammate of Danny Backman's. But I'm sorry, Jonathan Bond, you've got to put him in. Everybody can see that. We've talked about it for an hour plus tonight. Every Watford fan that's talked about it has said that Daniel Backman needs to be back on the bench and Jonathan Bond needs to start Saturday. And I don't disagree with any of it. I don't disagree at all. That's going to be it for this edition of the You ORNS post-match. I do want to thank you all so very much indeed. It is just after 11:20 at night on this Tuesday night. It is just after 3:20 here in San Francisco, California. My name is Omar. It's a great pleasure to be with you as fellow Watford supporters here after Leeds 2, Watford 1. I also want to thank the Leeds fans for being decent and gracious tonight. Look, it's very good to know some honest assessments from them as well. Of course, you will enjoy your 3 points. We, as Watford fans, will at least take heart that we played and performed a whole lot better today than we did 72 hours ago. That has been it for this edition of the You ORNS post-match here on YouTube Live. You can watch this back, by the way, of course. And of course, don't forget, you can also like this video and subscribe here on the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel. Of course, tomorrow morning, look out for the podcast that will be coming, talking about Leeds and Luton, the double L's and the double L's. 2 losses. But we'll be back on Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kickoff. I pledge to be up early enough in time to watch this one from the start. I missed the first 5 minutes of the last game. Perhaps I should have missed the whole 100, the next 95 minutes of it as well, the whole 100-minute shebang of Luton versus Watford. But I will be back on the weekend with the pre and post here on YouTube, on X, and on Instagram. Thank you very much, Matt, for your comment. Thank you, Omar, for another great post-match chat. He says, thank you, Matt, for your words. Really appreciate your comments, as always, and your insights. And to everybody who had some comments tonight on the YouTube channel and, of course, on Instagram and on X, I want to thank each and every one of you. Please join up on You ORNS WFC on the YouTube channel, on You ORNS WFC on X, and on You ORNS WFC on Instagram as well. The podcast can be found on Apple and Spotify. That's the You ORNS podcast on Apple and on Spotify. And so there may be some other podcasting platforms you can find it as well. But again, it's always a great pleasure here to have you along, win, lose, or draw. And I predict a 1-1 draw, by the way, on Saturday. Maybe getting ahead of myself, but I was asked for a prediction on Instagram, and I gave it you. 1-1 is my prediction for Saturday's game, but I hope to be wrong and hope to see that Watford finally get back into the win column after these last 2 contests. That is it for now. Thank you so very much, everyone, for your time and your listening and watching. Much appreciated. Thank you. Continue to support You ORNS WFC on YouTube, on Instagram, and on X. We'll be back, of course, on Saturday for pre and post. And of course, in the meantime, sometime tomorrow, the You ORNS podcast as well. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. I'm Omar, and until Saturday, have a good night, everyone, and be well. Take care.